Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Feels weird, I feel weird, weird mood. I can't remember precisely how many days it's been since what is really just the most blatant bit of lying from the regime took place. And then it was immediately followed by traumatizing an entire school full of children and shooting 2 other people in Portland. Going forward, I'm going to try and talk about this kind of stuff more, just a little bit, because while I want this to be a space where we can like get our energy back, not talking about it feels wrong. Another reason that I've been a little hesitant is just I'm not like a reporter or a journalist, and I'm concerned about possibly spreading misinformation. But like, there are some things that are just blatantly factual at this point, and I could not get wrong. Just total fascist bullshit happening. The way my partner put it to me is that they're not even bothering to see what they've done before they start lying about it. And now we've got the most pathetic men possible running around America with guns and feeling like they have the legal right to do whatever the fuck they want, and at the same time they're running around scared absolutely fucking shitless. These men are utter cowards. It's pathetic. So the most important thing you can do is going to vary on where you are, and I don't know where you live, so I can't really speak to that. But there are national organizations you can join, like Indivisible, and there are going to be local grassroots organizations that you can join that are going to be much more focused on the needs of your specific area. And I really encourage you to join up and see what you can do. I encourage you to call, email, write letters to your elected officials, because they work for you. You don't work for them. You don't serve them. They serve you. It is their job to do what you want and to answer to your will as the people. I'm so nearsighted I can't tell if the camera's in focus. And then the other things I would say is to remind you that it is still legal to record ice. It is still legal. It doesn't matter what any of the people in charge say. You have a constitutional right to record law enforcement. So the biggest thing I'd say, aside from join organizations who can actually give you useful advice, is keep your phone on you, keep your phone charged, and keep your ID on you. I think that's the only advice that I feel like I can personally give. Aside from a reminder that like there are so many of us, we're recharging right now, not checking out. Okay? That's the goal of this channel. It's a place to recharge, not a place to check out. Hopefully I'm going to work out a more efficient little call to action script as time moves forward, but I've just been trying to make this video for like 4 or 5 days, and it's just not been working. So we're gonna do a check-in about all of the creative stuff I did last year outside of art, talk about some of my art career stuff I did last year, talk about some of the projects I'm currently working on. But I'm just gonna start with all of the like sewing and knitting projects that I did last year that I finished, and then we'll do the stuff that I'm currently working on. These are not going to be in order because I don't remember. I really just don't remember. So, first off, this hat, brioche, knitting. This was inspired by something I saw online. It was like a fast fashion hat, and it was like I love those colors together. I think they're amazing, but I'm not paying that much money for an acrylic hat that doesn't even have proper decreases, and it's just sewn up at the top and is never gonna sit right. I'm not paying money for that. I don't have money to pay for that anyway, but I'm not paying money for that. So I lucked out, and my local yarn store, my favorite local yarn store, actually had this neon, I think it said it was cashmere actually, in the discount bin, because it's a pretty intense color. I can see why maybe they had trouble selling the last little bit of it. And then I already had the teal yarn, so it wasn't a very expensive project. And I love this hat. I restarted it like 4 times, but it's just the perfect size. Like, absolutely perfect. So, yeah, that's make number 1. Next is this tank top, which I really like. I just kind of winged this. I like swatched and then I cast on and knit in the round in garter stitch. I don't recommend that. It's kind of annoying, but I do really like how it turned out. This isn't a make, but a friend of mine gave me this really amazing Indian shirt. It's silk, and I just adjusted the fit. It had really, really nice big seam allowances, so I opened it up at the top. It was too small at the very, very top, and then it was too wide down at the hips. So I kind of inverted that, and I really like this. I really, really like this. It needs a little bit more work. There are a couple spots that need some care, but it's got these awesome sleeves, and I like to wear it over a white button-up for like a medieval vibe. It's really, really cool. I don't think the color's gonna show up incredible on camera, but it's dark out, so I can't expect much, but it's really, really, really stunning. And she got it from a friend who got it in India, so it's just really cool to have clothes with history. Quite pleased with how the fit on that turned out. The fit is just perfect now. This is a make. I made these from scratch, and you can tell the camera has never been able to pick up the color of these pants right. These are my first ever pair of pleat front trousers. They're a little messy because I made them and I chickened out on the pleats a little bit, so I had to unpick the front and make the pleats smaller again so that it would actually fit me. But yeah, all in all, I'm pretty happy with these. They've got some nice deep pockets. Pockets on the back are fake. These are the second pair of pants I ever made, so I am very happy with them in that way. But there's a lot I would change. I lined them at the top because it's a very thin fabric and it's synthetic. And I would have picked a thicker fabric for the lining if I were to do this again. It's such a drapey fabric. And I would have lined it different. I would have looked into having a lining that was separate. But as it is, the only way I know how to line pants right now is to just treat the lining and the fashion fabric as the same fabric. And because these are pleated, I think it would have been a lot better if I hadn't done that. Sorry if I'm coming off as like nervous on camera. It's been a long time, and it's you use it or lose it with camera confidence. I would have lined them with a much thicker fabric so that it hid everything underneath better, because you put these on and you tuck your shirt in and it looks extremely lumpy. The crepe just clings so badly, and I lined it with a very thin rayon, and so everything just clings and shows every little imperfection of your tucked in shirt and every lump from that. So I'll probably find some way to prevent that. I am assuming I'm just going to need to either like sew a pair of like sports shorts, you know, like the biker shorts that are like really, really tight and stretchy, and then like tuck my shirt into those, and that would help. You can also see like your underwear elastic, so that's kind of sucky. I didn't add any interfacing to the waistband. I regret that too. But I think the pattern is good. I think I did a good job making this pattern, because I did kind of make this pattern. I like hodgepodge together a tracing of a pair of pants I have and the waistband, pocket, fly pattern pieces from a pattern I used, and fit-wise, length, the width of them, the depth of the pleat, the pockets, amazing. All absolutely perfect. And I love the color, so I will still wear these. I'm just gonna need to find some like, you know, like sports shorts or sew some tight, stretchy shorts to wear under them. And now we're on to the last two things I completed last year that I can remember. There's a possibility I made one more hat, but I can't remember if I made that this year or last year. I just can't remember. So this is my freaking pride and joy of my crochet journey so far. Oh my god, I love this thing. I love it so much, it's so beautiful. So it's basically just like triple crochets, whatnot. I reverse engineered this pattern from a pattern image on Ravelry. It said that the pattern came in Greek and English. I reached out about it because when I downloaded it, there was only one download and it was just in Greek. I reached out, she said the download was supposed to have both of them, and I just kind of felt awkward saying, no, you're wrong. But it's a free pattern, and I did download it, so I don't feel bad reverse engineering it from the pictures. And then also I did change it a little bit. It was supposed to be an asymmetrical heart-shaped shawl, and I made it a symmetrical triangle shawl, but I love it, I love it. I made this yarn, kind of. I unraveled a burgundy sweater ages and ages and ages ago, and then I didn't do anything with it for a really long time, because I don't really like to knit with cotton. I haven't really been crocheting much until now, basically until this project. But I saw this really nice yarn on Etsy that was burgundy with like iridescent tinsel and beads, and I was like, I want that. And then I was like, I have burgundy cotton yarn already, and beads, seed beads, are actually incredibly cheap. I can just buy some at the yarn store. So all I need to do is find some tinsel. And I actually found it in the free bin at my yarn store. Just tons of tinsel, and oh my god. It's just so pretty. So now I absolutely love crocheting lace. I love wearing it, and I can wear it multiple different ways in like the warm months versus winter. So like if it was summer, I'd probably wear it over a button-up shirt like this, or even over a tank top, but I would like have a pin and wear it triangularly over my shoulder. But in the winter, I would like cowl it around my neck like this, dangle the sides, and it actually does keep you rather warm because it just all bunched up like that. It does block the wind really nicely. And then I dropped this one. And then this one was from a ball of yarn that I've been saving for ages and ages and ages. And then I finally found how I would like to use it. This is another pattern, free pattern from Ravelry. It was an ombre yarn, and it went from dark gray, light gray, teal, black, and then to dark gray again, but I didn't want it to go to dark gray. So I cut the yarn, and then I made it so that it connected to the next bit of black so that I would transition into teal again. And I also wanted a bigger black stripe because it was going to be very skinny because the rows were so long at this point. Hopefully that makes sense. I didn't block this yet. I haven't blocked it yet at all. It already looks so pretty, even unblocked. And I have worn it a couple of times unblocked because it's warmer than the other one. One thing I did change from the original pattern is I added a little, just one little picot to the center of each of the little lace arches at the edge, and I think that suits it. I think it looks very wintry and very frosty and icy and cold, very Pacific Northwest winter, and I thought that that little pointy bit suited it a little bit better. The original pattern was more roundy, but it was made with a fingering weight yarn and a very smooth, like, sock yarn or something, and I want to make it again with a yarn like that because I think that would be super duper pretty, but this is like a sport weight yarn, and it's a very rustic yarn with a lot of texture. Adding the little picot edge, I think, made it look a lot more finished than it would have if I hadn't. Whereas I think leaving off the picot would have made a super gorgeous shawl in a different yarn. It stopped recording at some point. I don't know when it did that. I'm going to assume it happened during the shawls. Hopefully we got my original talking about this one, because I don't think I'll be able to do the excitement again. I can't wait for summer because I want to wear this so much. This was inspired by a type of seaweed that grows here, and it's like red and very fluffy and ruffly. So this was meant to be reminiscent of that. So those were all of the fiber projects that I finished in 2025. I have some that aren't finished that I started in 2025, which I'll show you in a little bit. But I thought I would transition to another thing I did in 2025. I kind of got back into beading. I got back into jewelry making, and I feel like there's a little too much to show you, and some of them are pretty, like, minimal. They were in the vlogs back when I did those. I'm just showing you my 3 favorite pairs I made. I made these for myself. So these are uranium and cadmium glass. These ones are uranium glass, and these orange ones are cadmium. So uranium glows green, cadmium glows orange. These are buttons, and these are beads. And they're not perfectly symmetrical. One of the beads is smaller than the other, but you really can't tell once they're, like, separated on either side of my head. And I think they look super, super beautiful, and they're the perfect length for me. This is blurry, but you can tell. You can see the effect that would have. The next pair are these. These are actually a bunch of beads that I've had for a really long time. Like, these are from when I first started making jewelry, and then I stopped for ages and ages. So these are quartz at the top, then this is lapis, and then these are pearls. And I really, really love these. I think they're super beautiful. They feel a little fancy to wear most of the time. They're also a little bit heavy because quartz is very heavy. Quartz is heavier than glass, but they are so, so stunning. I think that I would prefer to wear these with like a really low-necked shirt, and I don't have one anymore, so I'll need to find one, make one, whatever, because they just seem very elegant in that way. And then these, I made these just in time to wear to Pride, actually, I think. These are beetle wing earrings, and they're super beautiful. Something you don't often find out online is that they're really loud. They sound as sparkly as they are. I don't mind. It's not like uncomfortably loud. Moving on to projects that I started in 2025 but haven't finished. I might have actually started this in 2024. I think that might actually be accurate, but I did finally start working on it again right after Christmas. So, this sweater is, oh my god, it's not even going to show up on camera how good the colors are, but I love this sweater so much. It's so beautiful. I can't wait for it to be done. I just ran out of yarn, and one thing I asked for Christmas was just one more ball of that yarn to finish the sweater, because I only needed one. So, this is either not going to show up on camera at all, or it's going to be way more obvious on camera than it is in real life. It is a faintly different color here and here, but it's honestly not going to bother me that much. I'm very close to being done. It's an Aran weight sweater, and sleeves are pretty quick. So I've got 2 more blue stripes to do, and then the cuff, and then I'm done. I mean, I have a million ends to weave in, but aside from a million ends to weave in, I'm done. And oh my god. I'm so pleased with this sweater. I think it's so beautiful. I can't wait to wear it. Hopefully I finish it very, very soon, just because I would get to wear it a little bit before summer. I made this scarf last year, which I will definitely be gifting to someone, because I cannot stand acrylic yarn, but I just desperately wanted to use these colors to make something, because the colors are so good. It's not done yet. I'm thinking about tassels on the end, or fringe, Haven't decided. I do have enough yarn left to do that. Big fan of these colors. I think they're super pretty. Unfortunately, it's acrylic or polyester or something. I'm sure people who like acrylic yarn would think that this is amazing yarn and it's super soft, but it actually makes my skin crawl to touch this too much. I never would have been able to knit with this with all the stitches underneath my hands. I would have been like sweating. It was, ugh. Anyway, yeah, but the colors are so cool. And this is the first time I've ever done a crochet, what is this called? What is that called? It's not called herringbone. This is the first time I've ever done this kind of zigzaggy crochet pattern that I cannot remember the name of right now. My brain is not working. It went really quick. I did this in about 3 days, which is kind of insane, actually. Other thing, I started this is so fucking shiny. So I want this to be kind of like a long chainmail shirt slash tabard thing. I don't really know how to describe it, but this would be one panel over the front, and then there would be another panel, and then the back would be one piece that's twice as big as this, basically. And then I'll find some way to make it lay nicely and not curl up. Wish me luck with that, I don't know. This is a sewing project that I started last year and haven't finished. It's been taking me a while because the pattern is weird. This will be a leopard print jacket. The sleeves are almost done. I just need to finish them up and then sew them on, add some buttons, and then I'm done. Like, I'm really close. And considering that I was doing flat felled seams wrong the entire time, I think it's turning out pretty good. It's gonna be a little bit weird, but I'm beginning to think that this will be a really cool jacket to cover in like pins and patches and punk shit, so it's not really gonna matter. I actually did add interfacing to the waistband and the button band though, and then I actually finished this year already. I don't know, I just needed a little break from the sweater. It's hard to get back into a sweater after such a long break, and thankfully I still love the way that sweater looks, so I will finish it, and I'll finish it pretty soon, I think. It doesn't have any of the new project excitement anymore to get me through it, so I crocheted this, and I actually think this is really cool. I was just gonna make a triangle, which is where I started, and then I was like, I've just been making nothing but center out triangles for ages now. That's been my last several projects. I need to do something else. So I made a triangle out of other center out triangles, and I think it looks pretty good. I didn't follow a pattern. I just kind of made it up. So I could have done some things better now that I know how to do that. I kind of figured it out, but none of the mistakes are that bad. So I don't think once you wear it, it would really show up. I still have to weave in my ends. I haven't done that. I don't know if it would work very well as a neck bandana, but it would work really cute as like a head one. So I'll probably figure out someone to give this to. I think it would make a cute gift, so I'll just throw it in the bin of like gift ideas. We're dealing with brain fog today, okay? I've got pretty bad brain fog, so I'm gonna try and remember what I was saying. Oh, right. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you might know that I collect vintage My Little Ponies. If you're not a collector, you almost definitely don't know that sometimes their hair falls out. It starts disintegrating. This happened on discount ponies, or ponies where they needed to save costs, so they would use a cheaper kind of hair that would disintegrate with time. Polyester instead of nylon. So I have a couple ponies that are going through that, and so I wanted to learn to re-hair ponies, so I bought the supplies. I got a gift card for Christmas to get the supplies, and I got them, and this is my first ever pony re-hair. She's a custom color because I thought her original hair color made her look like a very gross hospital, vaguely throw-up colored yellow. I look at her now and I'm like, wow, she is very nice. I'm not a huge fan of the G3 baby ponies. I think they're a little bit creepy, but I do think her design and color are way improved by using the same green throughout her design, on her cutie mark, on her hoof heart, in her hair. The hot pink matches her cutie mark pretty well. I haven't washed her hair since I did it yet. I just finished this a couple of days ago. So I think it still has some sort of like factory lubricant on it. It feels a little bit odd, but I'll wash it and I'm gonna trim it. It's not even. But then I think it's gonna look really, really good. What's next? What's next in like my creative shit I do to keep myself happy and like give myself a break from art while also still being creative and keeping my hands busy, because if I'm not doing stuff, I get really fucking depressed. Yeah, that's the difference between crafts and art. If I don't do crafts, I get depressed. If I don't do art, I get depressed and crazy. But what's next? I asked for that one skein of yarn for Christmas, and they gave me that skein of yarn and a gift card. So I got a sweater's quantity of yarn. I've never bought a sweater's quantity before in my life, ever. So I was very excited. And I got this color by Cascade. It doesn't have the color name, but it does have the color numbers. So it says it's color 1090. And it's just this beautiful, like, oh god, minty, seafoamy green. And then it's got this tiny, 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 tiny bit of pink in it. So it's super, super, super stunning. One thing I noticed this year, because I hadn't finished my stripy sweater, I only had one sweater to wear when it was cold out. And that made me really, really sad. Like, really depressed to just wear the exact same shirt every single day. Different t-shirt underneath, obviously, but like, God, I got so bored. But I couldn't not wear one because then I was cold. I can't turn the heat up hot enough to not wear a sweater in the wintertime because then I'm too hot. It made me really sad, so I wanted like the most different thing I could think of. So that sweater is like dark maroon, bright light green. So I've got whole sweater's quantity right here. So beautiful. I really like Cascade. And then I got very lucky, and I'll show you how I got lucky because it's pretty awesome. This. I thrifted this, and I've estimated how much I have, and it should be enough for a sweater, but just to be safe, I looked in my stash for other similar yarn, you know, worsted, solid yarn of the same sort of texture. So I found a skein of white, and then I found this, which is like a dark maroon, and it, like, that's perfect. That is a perfect addition to this color palette. So this one is basically a full skein. And I kind of figured out, based on the weight on the yarn label, and the weight of the yarn as in the thickness, how many yards there was, approximately. And so I have figured out that I do indeed have enough for a sweater, and I love this color palette so much. So I'm also going to be getting a sweater out of this, and there's literally no other name I could come up with for this sweater than the Barbie sweater. So this will be my Barbie sweater. Alright, it is the next day, and I am very bundled up because it's fucking freezing today. So I'm gonna try and keep the last bit of this as brief as possible because the first part took way longer to record than I thought it would. I'm not planning on setting any goals for making things in the new year. I mean, making hobby stuff, obviously. I have the big goal of make some fucking art because I have not actually been doing that. It's bothering me, and I don't want to hear that knitting and stuff is art. It is for some people. It's not for me. Like, other people make art with knitting. I don't. I just make stuff I like. Personally, that's how I think about it. That's how it affects my brain. It's different. So I do have the goal of finishing projects more quickly if I start them, because these last several projects I've done have just taken me forever, and it would be really nice if, even if I'm only made one or two things a year, I could like finish them and not have them take up so much space while also being unusable. You know, it's like, if I finish that jacket, I can put it in the closet instead of having it all over the sewing space looking messy. That would be really nice. So yeah, that's my only real making goal. Just if I make things, it'd be nice to finish them. I'd also like to start fewer projects while other projects are unfinished. That's a bad habit. I'd like to not do that so much. The one thing that I found that works really well for me is to have like a knitting project and a crochet project going at the same time, because if I get bored or I need a break, I can switch it up, and then I also finish crochet projects a lot faster, so I get a little bit of that dopamine of finishing something. So that's really nice. But aside from that, maybe not starting things while I'm still not done with other things. That would be good. Other than that, I wanted to show you some things I got which are kind of cool. I ended up finding a lot of really, really awesome fiber art books last year. Like, these are so cool. So I wanted to show you. So we've got Patricia Roberts' knitting book. I have now fallen in love with Patricia Roberts' knitting patterns. They're all amazing. I would love to find more books by her. I'm not going to show you all the things in here, but they're all really, really cool, really fun, and the photography in here is actually awesome. I might actually use it as like pose inspiration or something. And the patterns in here are so, so cool. Going back even farther, I got this at a library book sale that I totally found on accident. I was going to the bus stop across from my library, and I was like, oh, I've got some time, so I was gonna run in, and then they had a sign indoors that was like, book sale upstairs, and I was like, oh, okay. So this was like $2, and it's really cool. I don't know how well this is gonna come across on camera, but I really, really like how old color printing looks. It's just very cool. It kind of messes with your eyes in a really cool way, and it's so saturated. It's really, really fun. But there are lots of really cool knitting stitches and some cool color charts and some crochet stitches and all that in here, and it's in pretty good shape. I got 3 vintage knitting, are these magazines or booklets? I don't really know what to call them. I'll just call them magazines. And they're full of vintage patterns. So I got this one, Hand Knits for Men and Boys, Smart Knitting, kind of miscellaneous stuff. This one's by Bernat, and it's The Big Book of Ski and Sports Sweaters. And this one has some really nice color charts in it. I really like the color work stuff in here. There were a lot of these, and I just flipped through and picked the ones I liked. So, but I'll be keeping an eye out for more of those, because those are really cool. Next up is a pretty modern one. I've wanted it for a while. I got it at the same library book sale, so also $2. It also shows you how to make half granny squares and how to make stuff out of granny squares and all that. But I mostly just enjoy the granny square patterns themselves. I mostly don't like knitting pattern books. I prefer knitting and crochet like stitch books. I find I only end up liking pattern books that are vintage. Modern day ones, the patterns are generally really, really boring and repetitive. They just don't feel like they're worth money to me, because there are a million free patterns, many of which are even cooler and weirder because they don't need to worry about making money off of them. But then you find vintage pattern books and they're like crazy and really cool and really well made, and it's just great. Anyway, I got these at a different library book sale, and they were in the specialty books section, so they were a little more expensive, but so worth it. These are so cool. These are so cool. These are a Treasury of Knitting Patterns by Barbara G. Walker, and a second Treasury of Knitting Patterns by Barbara G. And a second Treasury of Knitting Patterns by Barbara G. Walker. I've heard about these for ages, and I finally got them. I was so excited when I saw them. I've bookmarked stitches I like. I just absolutely adore these books. I haven't really worked from them yet, but I would really, really like to. I would say that would be a fun goal, to just like try making something with one of these patterns or one of the patterns from one of the books I got. I think that would be fun. I don't know if I will, but it's a fun goal. And then let's move on to art stuff, because I think that's all of the crafting stuff covered. You know, I do think that kind of covers everything. For art stuff, I want to get back into painting. Oh my god. It has been forever. Last year I had 2 gallery shows, plus some like small group shows I participated in. I had 2 like biggish gallery shows, right? And then I had 2 group shows that I participated in, and where I just had like 1 or 2 pieces of art. And I also had the mural, so that was like 5 kind of really big art career things happening. Arguably the small shows aren't very big, but I had to like frame the art for those. So it kind of was a big disruption in me like getting stuff done. So towards the end of the year, I just did not get a lot of painting. It is, oh my god, it is so weird to think that last year was when I did my show at the Grover Gallery. It does not feel, it feels like so long ago. Like, yeah, it was early in the year, but it feels like so fucking long ago. It's crazy to me. And then I had the mural, which just took forever. I'm so pleased with it. It's kind of surreal to go in there now and be like, oh yeah, I did that. Because I kind of forget now, almost in a weird way. But yeah, I didn't work a lot on actual like painting in the normal way that I do. And it is kind of getting to me at this point. So I would really like to get back into painting. That's a big part of why I'm filming this video. It's like, I need a break for my hands for a few days, and I really want to get back into YouTube at the same time. So, filming a YouTube video now, and I can do this one without aggravating my hands too much. But aside from getting back into painting, I want to finish this sketchbook. I'm really, really close to finishing it. It's early in the year, and it just feels like a really good time. I am thinking that this will be my next sketchbook. This is a sketchbook that I made, and it has craft paper in it. It's actually made out of recycled paper bags, like grocery bags, which is kind of weird, but I thought it would be fun to use it. It's just a good size. I already have it. I'm trying to be a little frugal this year, so I can give it a shot. If I really, really hate working in it, I can just use it for thumbnails or studies, and I can find something else, you know? And then aside from that, I have laid out a whole plan of... I've laid out a whole plan for like a personal curriculum. I know, very trendy or whatever, but I've actually been thinking about this for a couple of years. I just haven't done it, and it feels like a good time. Like, I had all of that shit happening last year. We've got the holidays out of the way. I don't really have a whole lot of stuff planned right now. It just seems like a really good time. That's part of why I'm kind of against poo-pooing on New Year's resolutions. I think you should do a better job at planning them out. People do a terrible job of planning them out. That's why they fail. But the new year is actually a great time to start new stuff, because everything has already happened and everyone's tired from all the stuff happening, so they leave you alone. So my plan is to follow an art curriculum that I've made. I have the whole plan out. I've got the whole thing planned out. I've made like a document, and then I've also made a printable thing so that I can keep like the immediate stuff, and I can print it out and fill it out for whatever I'm working on right then, and then I don't need to check it on my computer. So that's good. I did that. I still need to print that out, but I'm planning on going to the library to return some books, so I can just print it out at the library whenever I do that. I'll give you a rundown of what it entails. I'm going to be working on Perspective Made Easy. That's one I'm going to be working on, but I'm not going to bring that book out because everybody knows that book. This last year, I finally completed my collection of the like main 3 Andrew Loomis books, right? And I had the first one, I had the last one, but I didn't have this middle one, Drawing the Head and Hands. I finally found it last year, and I'm kind of taking that as the initiative to get moving on this, because I have flipped through Creative Illustration. It's amazing. I can just tell. It's brilliant. It's full of so much amazing stuff, but I do want to approach it ready, you know? So I'm going to start by working through this. He recommends reading through it cover to cover first so you understand what the curriculum is going to be like, and I've done that. It only took me 3 days. I thought it was going to take me a lot longer because it is a kind of dense book, but I was just in the headspace for it. So read through that. I made notes of any supplies that I would need to follow his instructions as best as possible. So I've made a list of those. I will buy a couple of things. The one thing that I knew was going to be really hard to find, and other than like a mannequin and drawing models, I need like charcoal and whatnot, and I can buy all that in town. That's fine. I needed a model head. One of these. And I looked all over the place for one for sale, because I thought it would be great to buy it with an art mannequin and just have them come together and hopefully get free shipping. But I couldn't find one anywhere, except for one place. I could find them on Jackson's Art at full scale, made of plaster for over $70. That doesn't fit into my life or my budget. I eventually found a 3D model, and we have a 3D printer, so I printed it out. This is the Azaro head, and there's another one out there floating around if you look for these. It says this is the female head, and that one's the, I assume the other one, which is never labeled, is the male head, because this is an old system, so I assume they just go default head, female head. But honestly, the male head, I've seen people who look like that. I've seen men who look like that, but it is not the most common face I see these days, especially where I live. So this is actually much closer. And like, what, I'd have to widen the jaw slightly? Yeah, this looks much more like the people I see every day. I don't see a lot of guys with noses shaped like that. I just don't. So this one seemed like a much better fit. Yeah, that's all I've got about this. I really like it though. The model turned out really, really good, and it's kind of fun to just turn it and see the light play off of it. The one thing it's not perfect for is being backlit, because we printed it kind of low density, so it does let a little bit of light shine through. If that keeps bothering me, I can paint it. I can like spray paint it or something, and that should fix it. So not really a big deal. Other than the Loomis books and Perspective Made Easy, which Loomis also recommends that book highly. I have a couple of anatomy books that I will use alongside this. Those aren't really instruction books though, they're just books of explanation of anatomy and diagrams for you to like copy. If I work through that and I have more time left this year, I'd like to work on this, Color and Light by James Gurney. He's also on YouTube. And he made the Tinotopia books, which are awesome. But for now I want to focus on this. Other things I'd like to learn, I'd like to learn digital art. I think I found a solution to my tablet pen being broken. I think I figured out what's going on, but I don't know that, so we'll see. I'd like to try and learn some programming. I don't want to go too far into it. I don't like talking too much about my projects, or I do, but then I feel like it almost demotivates me from working on them if I go too in-depth on them. So for now, we've got learning art and anatomy, very familiar subject to me. Color and light, again, familiar subject. Perspective, familiar. I'm not great at it, but it's familiar to me. And then we have programming, a very, very different thing. I want to focus on learning and improving my art, and also on making art. Kind of important for improving your art anyway, because you still need to keep learning how to work a painting all the way through. Because if you just stop painting altogether and only work on anatomy, you will stagnate or regress in your ability to finish a work. Use it or lose it, as with all skills. Finish a sketchbook, start a new sketchbook soon. That might be my next video, finish my sketchbook with me. That would be cool. I think that's everything. Stay recharged, but not checked out. Keep your phone charged and on you. Remember that there are more of us than there are of them. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, comment below, all that really good stuff. It really helps me to keep making videos and get my videos out there. And I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.